All right, we are live on the Thursday night. God, thank God it's tomorrow's Friday. Thursday night. The DM and Friends discussion group where we get together every Thursday night and we pick a subject and we talk about it. I get some cool people on here, and tonight, our subject is going to be horror in gaming, one of my favorite subjects, to be honest with you. And I have two of the coolest people here tonight.
Where?
I will start off with. I will start off below, down here. I will start off with Heather. Quotes,
hey, everybody.
Valley Girl Ashcraft, and I am very excited to have you here. How are you?
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you guys for asking me, especially for this topic. Horror in gaming, it's become kind of one of my favorite genres to play in, to write in, to work in, especially over the last few years, which is crazy because I'm such a scaredy cat in so many ways at heart and have been for ages. Yet this is where I kind of found some of my favorite work to date on a lot of fronts. So this is awesome. I am so excited to jump into this topic.
Yeah, and we want to really dig in deep tonight too. So I want to come back to you, but yeah, so we have Heather Ashcraft here, and we also have which way? This way.
Yep,
Yes, I got it right this time. Yes, over here
Right.
on my, I guess this would be my left, right?
Your internet left.
Yeah, and I have the one and only Stephen Clements, who is a master at horror. So
Why, thank you. Thank you. One of my proudest credits is being called a trauma consultant for a friend of mine that was running a Traveler game at Total Con. And was it Traveler Con? Oh, I can't remember which, but he was trying to incorporate a lot more horror into it. And he said, every time I played with you, I came away with a new trauma. And I want you to help me write a scenario for that. And I was like, oh, Pat, you couldn't have said a nicer, more cruel thing about me. And it's great to be back here. And as Heather's probably going to find out, this is a fun show to be on. That's why every time Angelo tells me, hey, you're going to be on this night. Okay. I'm going to come. I'm going to have a good time because we have a really great audience. We really do. And we spend a lot of time talking about this stuff because my boy Freezer's in the comments already. I see Fred, Dreg, Lil CWA. I haven't seen you before, but it's good to see you. Thunderstruck. Yep. Tracking you. What's up, buddy? And so just looking at your CV earlier today, Heather, I see, you do have bona fides for horror, just with quite a few of them too. So you did pick a very good person to have on the show about horror, Angelo. But
don't blush now, Heather. Come on, this is supposed to be scary.
No, we're gonna be well set up because I got a background in writing horror myself and editing a bunch of RPGs and other literary works. I think I'm up to like 30 something like that. So yeah, you got some folks who got some track records. We could point to some stuff and be like, yeah, you think we're full of crap? Well, read our stuff and then tell us that to our face. But first, you pay for it and leave a review.
Come play at my table. That'll really show you what true horror is, one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've had some horrible games. Does that count?
Yeah, there are traumas of all types, and but we learn from the worst to be better going forward, don't we all? That's how it works. We wouldn't have the right stories if we didn't have the trauma from the really bad games or that one GM session where you just were not anywhere near where you should not have been near a table, but you were, and so we've all got it. Or you deal with Traveler. I mean, that's a trauma on its own. So come on, tell me I'm wrong. You can't.
Prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong.
Real quick.
Fight me on that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Real quick. Dreg says, "Is that a GaryCon T-shirt?"
It is. It is. Going back. I'll be back in Lake Geneva at GaryCon in less than 2 weeks now. So, yep. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. So
There
you're
it
backwards.
is.
Now you're
This is my
forward.
favorite.
Yeah.
The one Gary Con shirt I actually really still own, but it's absolutely my favorite. I love this shirt, and it's held up so incredibly well. But yeah, I had to bring this on to
a couple more
talk
weeks.
about it because I love going back. It's really kind of the kickoff really of the con season. So from there, all the cons just start rolling out one after another after another. So, but this is where it starts for me. So, and I'm really looking forward to this year because they've the guest list, the invite list this year, they've kind of shifted gears a little bit, and boy, have they got some big heavy hitters, and I am so looking forward to hopefully meeting some of them. So yeah, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
So
That's
we're talking
really
about
cool.
T-shirts. Let me show off what I'm got. It's a Dunwich
Well, how
Festival
fitting, dude.
from the Dunwich Harvest Festival, and I got this from the HP Lovecraft Film Festival people, who
That is
I'm
fantastic.
huge fan of their short film festivals. I've got some reviews of what I've seen there up on my YouTube. Highly recommend it because there's some gold, absolute gold, short films and feature films that I would have never known about had I not seen it through them. And they do an annual show, both in person and virtually, whatever works for you. Oh, it's good stuff. So, Angelo, what are you wearing?
Just my standard Dungeons and
Yes.
Dragons. Yeah,
AD&D.
I didn't wear my Addicted to Goth Girl shirt, so I figured that wasn't. Yeah, so I'm advanced Dungeons and Dragons tonight.
I'm writing some of that right now, actually. So
really?
I am running an AD&D 1E for those in the know. I'm writing the third part of what has become this ongoing adventure for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons that I run at GaryCon. So it started last year. I did two. It was the first one, and then the follow-up at GameholeCon, at EggCon. And then what ended up happening is I sat down one day and chatted with the hubby, and because he's also a gamer, he's also a writer. And ended up was a trilogy of trilogies. It's basically 9 installments, starting with the first 2. So there's going to be 9 total for the whole thing. We're on episode 3 coming up for GaryCon in a couple of weeks. So very excited. I really like working in first edition when I write AD&D, when I write Dungeons and Dragons stuff. It's just where I found my niche. It's where I started. So there's the sentimental value.
Nice. Yeah,
it's got a grittiness to it.
Oh, go ahead.
There's it's not just gritty. There's a simplicity to it. And I started with AD&D. That's how I was introduced to tabletop games back in 1988. But I played almost all the second edition years. Once I found a game group, and that's all we played for years and years and years, and then 3, 3, 5, et cetera. But I have found, as I don't know, I've become more of a veteran gamer over the years. I've been playing just a few decades, that I tend to keep going back to that. From the changes in initiative, when you're rolling, the party's rolling a D6, you're rolling it every round. There's that, it kind of throws everything. It's not just something that's set for an entire combat. You never know exactly what's going to happen. To the way, I like some of the old stuff, the bend bars, the lift gates, all of those, the percentiles. And there's just something to it. And even with the few modifications that I like to use, kind of homebrew, it's still a much simpler, I think in some ways, a more pure version of classic Dungeons and Dragons. It's more accessible to those who haven't played those, from the classic years. And there's no shade whatsoever to the 5 and 5.5, now that it's officially 5.5. Nothing like that, because I play in a 5th edition game, and I have for a couple of years now. It's just different. There's a different feel. There's a different vibe to it. There's because of the mechanics and just the way the progress. Like, I still have problems with my turns in 5.5 because there's so much you can do. And I'm like, no, I should be able to roll once, and that's it. Like this, I get one shot. Like this, there's so much to remember. So, but it's still a good system. But for me personally, I find myself, I've gravitated towards the classics. So
yeah.
AD&D it is.
I think they're easier to pick up and play. You ain't got to worry about, you don't have the same cognitive load as what you're talking about with 5e. And don't worry, you don't have to throw shade on 5e. I'll do it for us. If it comes up, don't worry, you can just stand back. I'll take care of it. And Matt Sherman in the chat. What's up, Matt?
Yeah. Hey, Matt. Hey, Fred. Hey, there was somebody else in here I just saw too. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, but I actually did mean to interrupt you. Yeah, you guys. Sorry, go ahead.
Are you good? So what's everybody drinking tonight? Because I've got sake.
I just have a 74 whiskey with a little bit of water and some cherries in it. Yeah.
Oh well,
Stop
shoot!
that, Heather.
I should have grabbed something.
Go grab something.
I feel like I need to run over to my bar, right over here, and grab something.
The bar right over there.
We'll do that during intermission, right?
How's that? There we go.
I'll
grab something. For now, it's just my water, with my liquid IV. So got to stay hydrated. I got to prep, man. It's Gary. When Gary Con is a marathon at the bar. So I'm trying to take it a little bit easy. I need to make sure this body's going to make it through.
Yeah. You hit on a lot of great points that I fall on the rules light. I played every system, and not every system, but it's every D&D system, and the rules light, but it also goes deeper for me because I started in AD&D too. And it's very much so a nostalgia. And you ask me any rule, I'll know exactly the page number pretty much. Well, 95% of the time. No, that's a stretch. But it's just my system of comfort too. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Chris.
I'm late. You should holler at me.
Yeah,
hey, Chris,
one of those days, But I wasn't going to miss Heather, for God's sakes. I mean, how often is she on the show?
It's good to see you too, Chris.
It's not her.
I just, look at that. See? Okay, all right. Yeah. And you look good too, Stephen. And Angelo, you look kind of like you did this morning.
Yeah.
I did see Angelo this morning.
Wait, when you rolled over and nudged
him?
Well, he nibbled on my ear a little, and
I woke up next to my cat. So no.
And then took him for a drive.
His pet name for me.
I did. I took him. Me and a friend took him for a drive yesterday. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well, you gotta get you a hot rod, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah. I'm gonna get a new car someday here. So yeah, we're Chris. By the way, what are you drinking? We know that Heather is not because she forgot to get a drink.
I actually finished about 2 fingers of bourbon, not just while I was getting in here late. But I had 2 fingers of bourbon because my tooth was bugging me again today.
You were prepping for the show. That's what you were doing. You were late. You were getting ready.
But I'm wearing the Hawaii RPGs on the Beach T-shirt today, so.
We just introduced that was fitting. We were just introducing our shirts about 5 minutes ago when you weren't here.
Well,
would that Hawaii shirt have anything to do with our favorite pineapple, Jeremy Wilson?
It could very well deal with, and from this era, Jogo was also in Hawaii. So yes, our friend who's currently from Michigan but was from Hawaii. So yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And I see now Heather's just smiling like, oh, they're ignoring me, and we can't do that.
No, I'm listening. Actually, I'm picturing myself on a sun-drenched beach somewhere near some lovely water and away from all of the cold Midwest weather right now because we're in that kind of up down, third, fourth, fifth fall spring, and then the next day it just absolutely frozen. And I am
winter in the Midwest. Yeah.
Where are you, Heather? I mean, I know where these guys are. Where are you at?
I am in northern Illinois, so I am very close to the Wisconsin border. I am in the realm of
That's my old hood. So
like I say, I'm out of Rockford. There is a strong gaming lineage that ties all the way back to the beginning here from Rockford. So for me, going to Gamehole Con, going to Egg Con, going to Gary Con, this is all the local-ish for me. It's less than 2 hours or more. So this is why, and I find myself being very lucky having all of these fantastic cons so close, so that
you guys
I
are
don't have
lucky,
to.
man.
Yeah, I mean, I go up and I can enjoy myself, but if I have to rush home, which God help me if I do, but I don't. So, I can always do it, but they're close enough that I can do that. I mean, I can even in Indianapolis for Gen Con is, half a day's drive, and
5-6
not
hours.
so bad. It's when I start talking Origins, going to Columbus, which takes pretty much most of a day, that things start to get a little rough. So
Yeah.
So no, wait, Angelo. So you can't just like have an hour's drive and go to major cons?
Really? I live in Montana. Okay.
Homeboy was going to California.
Oh, that's terrible.
For a con.
I drove 1,000 miles to be in a con for 8 hours. So what do you think?
I think you need help.
Yeah, I think somebody needs to start Montana Con.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we
need
have a
Brisbane
MizCon, which is in Missoula. That's once a year, but I think it happens the same time at another con that I'm at. So, yeah. Anyways,
No hometown love.
No.
Yeah, I got to get something going. So,
much like those guys, I heard you when I came in. I'm also kind of a first edition guy. It's
a little bit, maybe.
But I kind of like being. The
Heather is too. Heather just claimed her love for the old AD&D.
Well, Heather's only about 25, right? And those of us who are older and grew up around Gary, I mean, it's
yeah.
Gary was just a real kind of guy.
No, my roots go very classic. So I am old enough to be able to claim running and playing in first edition, playing in first edition Shadowrun, doing the calculus to make characters for champions, playing in with riffs and GURPS, and there was I do remember a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Roadhogs campaign that was short-lived, but it was a lot of fun. I actually recreated the Pork Chop Express from yes. Yes.
Big Trouble in Little China.
I thought of myself. I put myself in Kurt Russell's place for Big Trouble in Little China, and I drove the semi. That was a lot of fun. But I have enough. One of my favorite games to date is Cyberpunk 2020. I played original, but when we switched over to 2020, that's where I fell in love. I had a absolute fantastic solo named Sonya. I named her Sonya Blade. Yes, I know, Mortal Kombat, but it worked, and she had a humanity of basically about as thick as those little puffballs in the spring that floats around on the air. She was so wired. But yeah, I mean, I have this foundation of these really classic, fantastic games that have kind of ebbed and flowed within the industry over decades now. And it's lovely to be able to look back and say, I got very lucky with some of my game groups. I had some fantastic game masters, some fantastic friends who introduced me to all of these different genres and versions, of gaming. So I really got an overview long before, the SRD and all of that came into being. So before D20 became almost the standard, you had to learn. I can even say my group and I think it was my very first Gen Con, 92. We bought the books and stayed up all night making characters because we ran one of the demos for Dangerous Journeys.
Oh, wow.
We stayed up all frigging night to try to learn that damn system. So when we walked in, there were the 5 of us and one poor schmuck by himself. And we walked in with fully blown characters, 2 or 3 paragraph backstories, and at least a rudimentary ability to play that game without them having to explain a damn thing. Not only did we shock the poor GM, who I think we sometimes knew more than they did, the poor guy who was by himself had no idea what to expect. So it's I mean, you can't replicate stories like that. No. Having those and being kind of in those formative years as a gamer.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I wasn't actually like looking far away because I was bored. I was looking for my copy of Dangerous Journeys on the shelf.
I don't know if you know this, Heather, but there is a shelf right above Chris's head that he can pull out any game-related book that you're talking about. Doesn't matter how old it is, how recent it is. He can pull it down. It's going to happen.
I love that. I'm jealous. I wish I had that.
He's got a shelf of holding. It's really messed up.
Shelf of holding. I love it.
I've seen him do it like a half dozen times.
DJ book, though. I'm flummoxed, if that's a good word.
See, now he's on a quest. Now he has to find his Dangerous Journeys book.
I might have to.
Oh, Chris, it's okay.
Yeah,
under a napkin or something.
It's gonna drive him crazy until he finds it.
No, I'll remain calm. Oh man!
I wielded my power. My time is done here.
Yeah.
Oh, Freezer. Angelo, you got to share Freezer's most recent comment because it's so relevant.
Pull out game is top notch. Talk
Chris
about it.
Just pull out anything right there.
Yeah. That is the power. Yes.
That's a Catholic thing, though, isn't it? Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's something else.
No, that's guilt, honey. That's guilt.
Okay.
14 years raised in it, believe me.
Although,
I think we had a conversation about that some time ago, Chris. Wasn't it a page?
I dated a nice Jewish girl before I married Mars, and Jewish guilt will give them a run for their money. That's all I'm saying. Yeah,
but Jewish guilt comes with food. I mean,
that's true. And good food. Oh my God, good food.
Yeah. At least there's that. I mean, Catholic guilt you have to starve.
It just kind of lays there, and grows.
I'll be right back.
I'll take Jewish guilt. I'll take Jewish guilt and 20 pounds.
DM Angelo.
Well, we drove off Angelo. So, what are we working on these days? Any projects you've been putzing around with, Heather? I know you got a rap sheet a mile long, especially for Call of Cthulhu stuff. Heather, what you doing today? You talked about like some con games you're working on. Are you going to publish those?
Okay, so I am currently working and I can actually pull out a book too. So this is Dark Space. If you haven't heard of it, which I can imagine most people haven't, especially if you went to Page or some Gamehole Con last year. Dark Space runs off of the Shadow Dark system, but it's for space, and it is absolutely fantastic. It was written by Derek White, known as the Geek Preacher, and Than Gibson, the DM runs the world, and they are wonderful friends of mine. And when Than and Derek approached me last year and said, "Hey, we want you to do some writing for us," I said that would be awesome. I am not as familiar with Shadow Dark. I do have the books and everything else, and I have basically been teaching myself. Yeah, it's basically Shadow Dark in space. Yes, it is. And they will say exactly that.
Like, I love Spelljammer, so that sounds like it's up my alley.
Yeah, this is definitely space fantasy. This is definitely space fantasy. So I have been the alpha play test of my first adventure called the Great Space Scavenger Race of 3199. It's kind of inspired by those road movies, the race movies of like the 70s and early 80s. That kind of madcap crazy, almost no rules, anything goes, just you've got to complete the goal. That's the whole thing of it. And I'm running the beta test on there's 2 days. I'm running 2 beta tests. I believe they're sold out right now at GaryCon, and hopefully it will be in print sometime later this year. The other one, of course, I'm running is the AD&D game, the 3rd installment, and that will for right now is going to stay just con based for that. But I also just finished some work, the initial work that I'm working with Malix Nistel on the Nuked 3.0. So I was part of that team with Tiffany Rose Nickel and Manda, and it was awesome. The three of us got to pick parts of the world and just kind of flesh them out. And I picked 2 spots. One is called Zara Nur, and it's based almost exclusively on the world of like Thundar the Barbarian. It's that type of, which is one of my absolute favorite early 80s cartoons. So I had to grab that one. And the other one is called Root, and that is a land controlled by 2 warring AIs, which really was probably one of my favorites to write. I love both of them, but there was something very current and that just flowed when you're writing about 2 warring AIs. Awesome. With everything going on right now. So yeah, so we're looking forward to that. That should be going into print, I think Malix is saying sometime right around the summer, right before the summer.
Cool.
So there may be more on that coming down the pipeline.
Now, to clear up something Freezer's asking about, wait, people pay you to play your beta? The people are going to a con and they've got tickets, they've got seats at her game at a con. Is that right, Heather? You don't have people like beating on your door for like $20 a seat to play test your game, do you?
I submit them, and then the con makes whatever determinations they make. So that's where that is.
Okay.
Whether it's here or the ones I'm for Chaosium Con that I have set up too. That's going to be fun. Chaosium Con is in April. It's in Ann Arbor, technically Ypsilanti, but that's Chaosium's actually big con. They bring everything of theirs there, including lots of Call of Cthulhu, and I'll be running a couple of the brand new Campfire Tales of Scouts Against Cthulhu. It's a brand new book. It's just come out. I think they had some preview copies at Gamma this week. So that is premiering worldwide by Chaosium Con, if not before. And I am running a couple of the scenarios there. And I am going to be in the keeper chair. This is a real honor, in the keeper chair, to run the Chaosium team, the VIP and Chaosium team through one of the scenarios. And we're not saying which one just yet, but it's going to be live, the first actual play from the Campfire Tales. And I am over the moon excited and terrified about this. Because these guys know this stuff inside and out, and they're good. They are really good. Yeah. So I don't think I'm going to have to do much, honestly. I'm just going to throw stuff at them and just let them go to town in front of the audience. But there is going to be audience participation. I'm not going to say anything more than that right now. It's going to be a surprise. So you got to come to Chaosium Con if you want to find out what's going on.
Okay. Ann Arbor. And that's Ann Arbor, Michigan, yes?
That'll be in Ann Arbor, Michigan in April.
Okay.
Nice. So, Chris, more Castle Wolfmoon, I presume? Does that?
But before we leave it, Heather here, who's the artist on that Dark Space? Because man, have they nailed it.
The artist is actually Than Gibson. He did almost all of the artwork in this book. And there's not much, but if you like, they have charts, let me see if I can find.
Well, I saw that cover piece, and honest to goodness, I catapulted back to 1974.
Yeah, no, isn't that great?
Yeah.
The black and white on this
absolutely awesome.
Yep. is fantastic.
Hold that up again. That up again. To the other side, to your right.
When I was younger, and
you're right.
I think I'm probably the older one. Awesome. That's what Space Comics looked like, unless they were kind of not so good full color. The really cool Space Comics were all black and white, that exact style, maybe not that good, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
it's pretty darn
good. And it's all, it's all the way through. It's all the black and white. So it just has that kind of bleak, futuristic, old school kind of feel. And it's not, if you look at it, it's not that big. But you have to have the Shadow Dark rule book.
Right.
Sure.
Because it's based off of this, but this is all the modifications and everything. You have
character sheet.
You have the sheet right there on the back. You can use a dry erase marker if you want to.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So they didn't do that so that you would put it on a copy machine, is what you're saying?
Well, you could.
Oh,
I don't know.
maybe. All right. Yeah.
Maybe, but
Yeah,
yeah.
but
But yes, but Than did the artwork for this, and it's absolutely
Really,
gorgeous.
yeah, awesome.
Absolutely gorgeous.
And yes, there's more Castle Wolf Moon stuff. I'm sorry, of course there's more. Right. I might even ask Heather, although she sounds awfully busy, if she wants in on Castle Wolf Moon. But we are preparing, and actually, I'm just doing the edits. I did the first half of the Gazetteer. I finished, and then I sent it to my editors because I always know what I meant. And I'm going through the edits the 117 edits that they sent back. And then I'm going to put that out as the background for people who want to contribute so that they know what they're dealing with. But I haven't finished it yet. Should I send you one? You can always say no after I've sent it to you as well. It's not compulsory, but we are paying a dime a word. Okay.
Well, that's kind of what us freelancers do. We're basically writing mercenaries. So money can talk.
And you get a copy of everything that comes out for the Kickstarter, which hopefully 10 years from now will be worth real money. I mean, it might not be the day of the Kickstarter, but it will be in 10 years. Yeah.
Let's chat afterwards, or
by Gary. Like I said, you can always say, "Oh no, Chris,"
because
you are terrible, and I would never work with you.
Yeah, I'm always open.
Connection.
I do have a couple other projects coming up that are due by June for another, and I can't really talk about it, but it's a return. It's a return. It's a company I've worked with before. I'm very excited that they asked me back, especially for what I get to do. But yeah, so that's going to be in the works over the spring in through June. So, but let's send me an email. Let's talk.
Well,
let's see what we can do.
The only other thing I'm going to add before I turn it over to you, Stephen, so you can tell them about the other stuff you and I are working. This may be your very last chance to work on and be able to tell your friends you worked on a project with Gary Gygax, you see, because of course he wrote about 40% of what's going to be presented. So yeah, wow.
Okay, definitely interested.
It's a bit of a marketing hook right there.
That would be very much a full circle moment after meeting him back in very early 2000. What was it? 2002, 1?
Do you remember? Was there still a Heckaforge Productions? Because if there was, it was 2006 or earlier.
It was actually a Gen Con.
Okay.
That I met, and it was very brief. He was very kind. Smoked like a chimney.
Oh yeah.
Is unfiltered. Yes.
Yeah.
It was when it was in Milwaukee. It was still in Milwaukee. It was before Gen Con
moved mannequin
out
guy in the front that isn't really a security guard. Yeah. Yes.
So I had lunch. We had lunch. It wasn't just me. It was myself and 4 friends. We had taken a late lunch, and we were staying at what was the Mark Plaza, which is now at the Hilton.
Now the Hilton, yep.
And we had stepped in, and unfortunately, one of the reasons I think Gen Con moved from Indy, a kind of a tertiary reason, but it was kind of important, was the fact that a lot of the Milwaukee business owners really never took to us gamers. They weren't the nicest. While Indy has opened their arms for decades now.
Well, and Indy's a lot easier to work with.
We were trying, the 5 of us, it was myself, my ex-husband, we were together at the time, and our 3 of our friends who were brand new for Gen Con all went. We were staying at the hotel. We went to go get lunch at the cafe. Nobody else was there. The wait staff didn't want to wait on us. They were making that very obvious, but they were kind of forced to. And we're sitting in the smoking section, which of course was right where the podium where people came in, and right next to the kitchen, which never made sense to me. And in comes an older gentleman and a woman, and who turned out to be, as we discovered, was Gary Gygax. And I believe he was with Gail at the time.
Yeah.
They were waiting and they were waiting and they were waiting. Of course, the staff wanted nothing to do with anybody. So they were about to leave. And my buddy, in his insanity, said, let's go and invite them over to sit with us, because it's probably the only way they're going to A, get service, and B, our only chance ever, probably in our lifetime, to ever have this moment. We're telling him, don't you dare, you moron. Did he listen to us? No, thank goodness he didn't, because he went over with Mr. Gygax. I apologize. I don't want to disturb you, but the staff has been absolutely garbage.
Yeah.
They don't want to wait on us. We just got something to drink. The only chance you probably have to get served is if you want to come and sit at the table next to us, so at least you're part of our group. We don't want to disturb you, but we're just letting you know. And if you'd like to join us. And next thing we know, we see Gary and Gail walking over towards the table where we're sitting. And all of us are just like, oh my God, 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 oh my God. Because we're young. And he proceeded to smoke like a chimney all the way through lunch, ordered lunch. They had a good time. We got to tell them, our story, because he was very kind. He always asked, what's your story, kid?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got to tell him our stories and how we started out. And it was the moment that I mentioned that it was the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon that started me on the path. So when I finally got to play in a game, I had an idea what was going on. And you could see his face completely shift. It almost fell. Like all of that pain and that trauma and everything that had happened in regards on his end, you could see it on his face.
Yep.
And at that moment, one of the few good things my ex ever did is he ran upstairs to our room, I had just spent $100 and bought the entire series on VHS tape under the table purchase.
Wow.
Okay.
This was before it was officially released, before they put it on DVD, any of that. Somebody had bootlegged it and put it on VHS tapes. Comes down with the very first case, pulls out this this
hand label
dot matrix print cover, and hands him a pen and said, would you sign this? Because this series meant this was all of our first introductions.
Yeah.
This is how we started. This is our legacy, and we loved it. And we just went on, and you could see the change again on his face, where it's like finding out that this means so much to this next generation of gamers, which we hopefully, as now older veteran gamers, are passing on to the next generation. We want that that it meant so much to us.
Yeah.
And he signed it, and I still have it, and I will have it for the rest of my freaking life, one way or the other. Even if I get rid of all the VHS tapes, I will frame that damn dot matrix printed, because it meant that hopefully maybe our stories helped a little bit with what was there. And it was just a moment. And then, everyone finished lunch, and he got up and he thanked everybody, and he left, and he went and did Gen Con, whatever he was doing for Gen Con for the rest of the time. And we had this moment can say, I had lunch with Gary Gygax, and I got to tell him how much what he created meant.
I don't know if you were aware, because you mentioned it. What was the cartoon that your next project is based on from that era? Was
Thundar.
Thundar, thank you. I'm getting old.
Oh yes, the new
Thundar the Barbarian.
Was
supposed to be the original D&D cartoon, and I can't remember the guy's name at TSR that screwed it. Oh my goodness! I was around Gary that day, and if you've never seen Gary pissed off, wow, it takes a lot.
I've heard stories, legendary stories of.
I heard words I never expected to hear from that man, and it was, I don't know, it was funny. We were always friends. We were almost never, could you do this for me, or could you do that for me? We spent very little time on that, and we just kind of hit it off. But it's funny that you mentioned lunch. I got to know the man playing a game with him that he was hosting at Gen Con Minicon 2 at the VFW in 1974. Wow. And he was like, have you had lunch yet? And I said, no. And he said, well, why don't you come with me? We'll go have lunch together. And so we sat there at Minicon 2, went downtown to the one restaurant, and I can't remember the name of that place either, but it's still there. The long, skinny one. And we talked for 45 minutes, and we were friends ever after there. Now, we never worked together until I turned 28, 29. And all of a sudden I was like, wow, TSR is on their way out the door. There's no adventures in the market right now. I should finally publish one of my D&D adventures that I never wanted to publish because everybody else does, And he said, yeah, sure. But it must have been 91 actually, because they had just gone through Black Sunday and kicked him off the board. The Blooms had, and there was an upset moment there too. Yeah. But just a salt of the earth kind of guy. He was just a regular Joe, very intelligent regular Joe, but just a regular Joe.
Yeah. Well, they say never meet your heroes, but sometimes I think that adage is wrong. Sometimes meeting your heroes is what gives you that little spark that eventually turns into something much bigger. Because for me, I always remember that whenever I look at what I'm doing and I look at what everyone else has done, because I came in I started creating much later in my life than a lot of other folks in the industry. And I just keep thinking back, Gary and everybody who was there at the beginning, everything started with an idea, with passion, and with let's just try something and see what happens. They didn't start out with the library books. They didn't start out with 50 years of immaterial to draw off of. They didn't have any of that. I've seen Rob Kurtz's handwritten notes on cards. I have seen, the from the oh my God, the old printers, with the we're talking the old printers from like the 80s, early 80s.
Where we
printers,
they did a typeset. Yes.
Right. The manuscript. I mean, all of, the done on typewriter and handwritten. And I was very lucky enough to see Bill Meinhardt's, collection at one point, and it brought me to tears, because all this time you keep comparing yourself as a creator, especially when you come in late, that you can't do this because everything's been done. Everyone does it better. Everyone's making money and doing all this. And that's not how it started. And really, when it comes down to it, everyone starts somewhere. So
those are so much more inspiring than my first meeting Alan Hammock when I waved him down at an IHOP and then bought him lunch. But I've bought him beer since, so that's got to count for something.
Well, you always get to buy Michael Mornard a beer. That's key at GaryCon.
Yeah,
and I met Alan Hammock a few years ago at GaryCon, and that's how we became friends. So I love Alan. I love them.
I think we need to get to talk about horror, because the chat is
all
about it. And so unless the lunch was really bad, which was terrible.
Well, I would say the stories were great and they were fitting because of what yesterday was. So yesterday was the anniversary of Gary's passing.
Yeah, yesterday was Game Master Day, was GM Day.
And we played last night too. And obviously, I'm going to say that I did run the best game ever. So
and I didn't die, so I was happy.
You didn't die, Chris.
Didn't tell my God or nothing.
That helps.
But what a great story, Heather. Thanks for sharing that with us. It was super, super cool. I'm happy that you got to experience that, and to me, I loved the cartoon growing up. I mean, every Saturday morning, and I was one of those weirdos that would tape it because I didn't have a VHS or anything, but I audio taped them and I listened to them at night on my little cassette player. Yeah, it was.
Well, not everybody had VHS copy capability, Stephen.
Well, I did. I don't think we had a VHS at the time.
Audio recording a visual medium. That's weird, but I still watch it. I got the DVDs.
I have several copies of the DVDs.
I'm going back through, was it season 2 right now?
So, are you really? Wow.
It's a fun show.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It is.
My husband and I have raised our 2 kids on it. They started watching it at an early age. They loved it. And one of my proudest moments was when my son, I think he was 3 or 4, said, "Hey, mom, he's waking me up." And he's like, "Mom, can I watch D&D? Can I watch D&D?"
Nice.
And then my daughter when we took them to their first convention here locally called RockCon, and they saw a mini. I don't want to call it a mini because Tiamat is never a mini.
Right.
But they saw it. My daughter pointed and went, "Mom, that's Tiamat. She's awesome."
So
and
cool.
I'm like, "Score, done." So yeah, it's lovely to see. It still has a legacy and it's still going. I love it.
We did in those days used to pick on Gary about the unicorn though. I'm sorry, we yeah.
So horror.
Horror.
What is horror, Angelo?
Chris, no more stories. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. I was going to ask.
Should we start with a definition?
Tell everybody how many times I threw Tiamat at them in middle school in the science room. Yeah, that's what we would do every year. Anyways, yeah, you guys. So yeah, thanks for all the stories and sharing. And Chris, I know you could go on for another 50 minutes, even though. Yeah.
No,
we'll slow down here, and we'll get
3
into
hours, man.
We'll get into
Easy.
horror. Everybody,
come on, do the unnecessary close up. Come on, I know you have cameras. Go ahead and look into them.
Yeah, horror.
Into
it. I don't my camera ways over there.
There you go.
Yeah, so I kind of got it all together because I wanted to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and kind of, I don't know if it's a genre or it's a mood or it's a setting or it's a style of play, and it's, I don't know how to define it. To me, I would just say, and we're going to go around the room talking about, because I want to define what horror is in D&D. To me, it's a feeling. It's a kind of a like, I can make sure, we could say we want to play in the world of Ravenloft, and and everybody knows going in that it's the setting is horror, and it's this, or we can play Cthulhu and know that it's this type of horror, this cosmic horror. But I think that any kind of good DM can turn a session into a very fearful thing for the players, right? With tension and consequences and certain themes. But yeah, to not just the easy way out and say, oh, it's it's Ravenloft, or it's whatever, what is your guys' kind of definition of horror in gaming? And let's start with our newest guest below me here, Heather. Yeah.
For me, horror is, and this might go a little philosophical, so I'm not going to apologize. It just does. Horror for me is the exploration and manipulation of fear through storytelling.
Yes.
Fear is probably one of the most primal emotions we as humans feel. It's just ingrained and part of who we are, of our makeup as species. And by exploring it, by tapping into it, by utilizing it, we manipulate it through the storytelling to produce some type of planned result. It doesn't always go to plan, but whether it's the tapping into the childhood, what goes bump in the night, to the more adult terror, just of, it's not the creature you have to be scared of, it's your fellow man. Your fellow human, because as adults, we now know what terrible, horrible things humanity can inflict upon itself. To the almost, if not religious version of, we are these insignificant little mites in the universe, and honestly, our lives don't add up to a hill of beans because there are creatures much bigger and larger and smarter and whatever, more advanced than we are, and to them we are nothing, and therefore there's all these different ways of doing it. But when we tell it through story, whether that's tabletop, whether that's literature, whether it's movies, whether whatever the form it takes, really that's where horror comes from. It's what do we utilize? How do we tell a tale that taps into that primal fear to invoke a vibe and an environment, and it's being able to explore that in a safe environment. When you're playing a game like Cthulhu, no matter how terrified your characters get, no matter how insane they go, no matter what they face, the players know that eventually that game's going to end and they can walk away from the table.
Yeah.
So that's, it's like riding a roller coaster. The ride's eventually going to end and you're going to be able to walk away, that sort of thing. So it's being able to do that, which is why it is so powerful and honestly so much fun to work and play and be part of.
Yeah, that's really well said. I'm going to jump in here because you guys saw the little meme or thing that I put up. I love that you started with fear and you start talking about, but H.P. one of my favorite, H.P. Lovecraft wrote an essay. I can't remember the exact name of it. I'm sure Stephen Clements probably knows because he retains information that way. But he's in the introduction, he talks about the oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest fear is the fear of the unknown. And yeah, if you can tap in, the game's going to end. But if you achieve that level in the middle of the game for those players or for those characters, man, boom. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, that's super. Yeah, I love that you went deep there. That was awesome. Who's next?
Well, you're the GMC here. You should pick. Make Stephen do it.
No, I want you guys to pick.
When thinking about what to talk about tonight, I went for some fundamental definitions. So I'm going to look at it from a pretty meta perspective. So for folks who are wondering which Dracula was my favorite or which kaiju I think looks the coolest, that's not what I'm going to talk about, because I'm wanting to really clarify what it is, how it works, and what you can do with it. And I'm not going to cover all that in this little blurb, but what is horror? It has a definition. It is a thing. And regardless of the media, it's a genre that seeks to elicit physical or psychological fear in its viewers or its participants. And so you've got an emotion it's going for. It's ways it can hit you. It's either psychologically or physically. It's aiming to provoke some sort of fear response. Now, not everybody's afraid of the same thing. Not everybody has the same frame of reference to know something is something to be afraid of or something that they think is normal and it's fine. So it's subjective, and you can be sensitive to a particular fear stimulant, or you can be desensitized to it. So, what different things can scare different people. Well, I wanted to dig into that physical and psychological thing. Because I conceive of the physical aspect of fear. That's what most folks think of as fear or terror or panic. That's the flight instinct kicking in. That's anticipation of a danger, and it's a problem that's right there, and you got to do something right now.
Yeah.
Whereas the psychological one, I thought, okay, I keep hearing the word dread. Dread's often associated with horror and fear. I mean, Ravenloft's got the domains of dread. Well, what's dread? It's to feel extreme reluctance to meet or face something. It's often paralyzing, or it induces despair. Well, what's despair? That's the elimination of hope that something good is going to come of this. It can also be a dark awe. So you are impressed and you feel small in comparison to something that is evil, malevolent, something like that. That's kind of a macro problem that you don't necessarily have any means to do anything about. And that's why you dread it. Whereas if you feared something, you could run away, or you could slap it, or you could do something immediate, knee jerk. And then what's a game? Well, it's a invented or contrived scenario with rules where players participate in the scenario and its rules, and there's some sort of accomplishment involved in doing it well. So, getting back to what Heather was saying, so why play with horror? Because people like being scared, and it can be a kind of training as well. Because what would I do in this scenario? Well, if you've role played through it, you might be better prepared for it. or say you've been through something that screwed you up and you want it to not screw you up so much, you can role play through it again and get some sense of control over it. But human beings, we evolved with the capacity to feel fear, to fear dread, to panic, to do all this stuff. And we need those stimulants. We need to be able to do these things to be psychologically healthy. And we need sources of it. And this is the safest way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, I think that's a good opening salvo for that. Holy crap, what do we got in the chat?
God, we should have
we
started
got lots
with
coming
that.
in.
Woo! You know, we have a couple questions, and let me get Chris's take on that, and we'll go to 2 questions that I pinned. One from you, Freezer. I will never forget you, and I know you asked it quite a ways back. And then we just got one from from Dreg. I do want to say advanced welcome back to the show. Our very own channel mascot Blur is here. Good to see you. Yeah.
And Dregs. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Down here.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah. So Chris, what's your kind of take on
that
too?
I'm going to take this from a gaming perspective, and how do you inculcate fear into the players, regardless of what system you're doing?
Yeah.
True horror is horror that you do not know whether you are capable of the challenge you face, whatever it might be.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
The less you know about it, the greater the horror will become. Now, believe it or not, the best way to do that isn't to start by giving zero information. You're in a blackened room. You can't see anything. There are absolutely no smells or sounds to hear. And your skin feels like, room temperature. Oh, man. No, that's not going to scare anyone. You horrify people in a game by removing those senses one at a time. As you proceed forward, you suddenly notice that there was a faint smell of roses, but also perhaps something that died several weeks ago. And perhaps the roses are covering that smell, but now that smell has gone. As you proceed forward, it becomes ever more quiet until the only sound you hear is the ringing of tinnitus in your ears. Okay? And slowly but surely, blackness begins to close in on the party until soon you can see nothing. And of course, the first thing that will happen is the magic user will light a light. And then you say, and when he does this, you each find yourselves illuminated, but you're alone. You have no idea where the rest of the party has gone to. The air is getting somewhat either colder or warmer, doesn't matter. Because the first thing they'll say is, well, why is it getting warmer or colder or wetter? Or there's a crackling of static electricity in the air. Why? And give them a whole bunch of red herring clues.
Yeah.
That don't lead them to understand what's going on. And they will be absolutely terrified by the time they find out that it's, I don't know, a carnivorous chipmunk with a half a hit dice, but enormous psychic powers, that's able to affect your brain that way. Lovecraft nailed it. It's that fear of the unknown is the worst.
That's the best.
That's actual horror, not fear, or terror, not fear. And the best way to get to that is to remove all of the safeguards that a character who is very confident has built up for themselves over the period of time that they've played that character. Well, I have these abilities. I'm not, bring on Tiamat. I can take this, But you pull from them their ability to identify one brick at a time until the wall is gone. And they will be absolutely terrified by the time they get to that point. Jim was actually very good at that. Jim Ward was really good at that.
Yeah, the example that Chris just gave really put meat on the bones of some of the principles that I had jotted down. Is that he was describing the party of adventurers. Well, they're used to a certain way of interacting with their fantasy world. Horror, it's a game of contrast. There has to be a base level of normalcy, because if everything is slavering demons all the time, it all washes out. It's not interesting. I mean, it might be for a minute, but when that becomes your normal frame of reference, then it's not horror, it's Tuesday. But he was talking about they're going through a dungeon, or maybe they're walking in an open field, and then things start getting dark, and you get these contrasting and oddly juxtaposed sense of like the roses and the dead thing. Why are those two things together? Don't explain why those two things are together, but the player will know those things shouldn't go together. Why do they go together? And then when you don't tell them a reason why, then they start playing their own mind games. And so little details that are out of the ordinary, play with that first. You can get to the slavering demons
like
later.
A ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Exactly.
In the distance, you hear a crack. It might be the sound of a pebble dropping on the floor, or it could be a small bone being snapped. You're not sure. You know, you had to bring up bones? Really? Oh my God. Yes, I did. I'm sorry.
It's just like in the movies. Like, I feel like less is better. You know what I mean? Showing the monster is way takes less impact, or to me is less impactful than knowing the monster's there. You know what I mean? Kind of that situation. That's the fear of the unknown. Yeah.
As you cleave Tiamat's first head, the whole body of the dragon shrinks, and there before you is a small, somewhat waspishly thin little girl dressed in white. And in an extremely airy voice, she asks, "Why? Why would you hurt me?" And looking around for some reaction from your companions, you discover that you're now alone.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of things. First, I agree with the removal. Take away the familiar. Take away all of those bits and bobs about us that we rely on, that we might not even think we rely on until they're not there anymore. What happens when someone who wears glasses loses their glasses and they can't really see anymore really well. What happens when maybe you are injured and you don't have the mobility that you do? Like, I mean, if you like Rear Window, going back when classic movies like that, you start to take away things, but then adding in the elements that tie into those fears, those inner fears that we all have, maybe back all the way from childhood, that like you said, the snapping of, you hear the sound. Is it the snapping of a bone, or is it a pebble dropping? And if it's really quiet and I'm alone, why would there be a pebble dropping? Is there that scent that flows through for just a moment, and you can tell while the rose is at the top, is that rot, decay? What is that underlying? But then it's gone, and you're left there by yourself in your own mind to stew on it for a while. And so your mind, of course, goes to all the worst possibilities, and it builds up. So it's a balance. You take away enough as you introduce the fearful, those little elements that kind of nip at the fear, that kind of draw it out a little bit more and a little bit more. And when you can balance those two things, by the time it gets, and then you start, setting up that dread, that helplessness, that hopelessness. So by the time you get to the big bad, do you submit to it? Do you lose yourself in it? Or do you find that strength and fight it? That, you find that moment of humanity, and which way will you go? Which way will your humanity take you, if there's any left?
There's another really dirty DM trick I've used on you, Angelo, at a con session, and that is, and by the way, give me a save versus spell for no reason. There's no actual spell, okay?
Yeah.
But I'm asking you to make the save so that you'll wonder what's going on.
Yeah, I do that a lot. That's a great trick. And I was actually going to get into a section where we talk about some of the tricks we use, but that is a great trick. Have somebody just roll a dice, and then they're wondering. It doesn't mean crap, but that's an old school trick right there. Just
or I'll grab a handful of dice and just roll them and study them for a minute.
Just start rolling behind your screen or something. Yeah. But when you make the player roll, and you tell them, like, and you don't even have to say like make a save versus whatever. You can even just say like roll a d20. Tell me what you got. Yeah.
Especially if it's right after they've taken an action of some kind, not necessarily in combat, but just they're walking along and maybe they reach down, they smell a flower or something, and then they're about to walk away. You're like, can you roll me? Could you just make a roll?
Okay. Oh, and wait a minute. What's your charisma? Yeah.
Okay. Jot down behind it. Okay. What is that? No,
don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You'll find out. Yeah.
Keep going.
You know, some great comments in here. I want to, God, I always.
Oh yeah, didn't you have a couple questions pinned or something?
Yeah, I do, and I always get you guys that are on. I swear, I'm so sorry. I get so sidetracked just listening and doing whatever. Sorry if I missed a question or whatever. But and by the way, Jason, good to see you, man. Good, thanks for joining.
What's up, Jason?
Freezer asked a question, God, probably 30 minutes ago, maybe an hour ago. I don't know. He said, when writing, and this is for you guys, because, I'm not a writer at Adventures, but you guys are published writers. So, so when writing horror, let me show it up here. What is your favorite horror type? And what are your typical protagonist conflicts? Wow, that was 2 questions. How dare you? Okay. Let's start with the one and only Heather. We will start with you on this.
What is my favorite type of horror? That is actually a tough one because it's almost mood based. Like, is there, am I writing for something specific? For me, I think some of my favorite horror, like, I don't know, subgenre of horror, because there are so many. Horror is like a big gem, and there's all these facets, and there's all these different versions, of it. It's, for me, it's the deep dives, the psychological deep dives into the traumas, making the characters or the NPC, or excuse me, the player characters, by utilizing NPCs, not necessarily even creatures, but by utilizing NPCs and situations, making those player characters look at themselves in the mirror and having to face the unvarnished, sides of themselves, and then seeing how they react, and then slowly chipping away at it. It's kind of the psychological trauma sides of things. I don't know why, but I had some of my favorite games, not that I put together, but that I've played in on the horror side. Right off the top of my head, Bluebeard's Bride was one of my favorite. It was an absolute mind. It messes with you. You have to deep dive deep into trauma areas. I had in my head, like the Bene Gesserit, there's a place that we just don't go to. I think as humans, there's a place that internally in our minds, psychologically, that we don't like to go to because it's traumatic and it's horrific in a lot of ways, those really deep, dark places in our heads. So those are the areas the people who can write those the best, or who are true masters of that, are just absolutely, I am just awe-inspired by them. It's something I would love to be able to do more, but it's probably the one area of horror that I love the most.
That's awesome. How about you, Stephen?
I like that. Well, one of the things that I came up with to talk about is, when it comes to using horror in any medium, but games specifically, well, what flavor do you want? Well, that begs the question, well, what are the flavors? And the big ones I was able to pick out, and feel free to add if I missed some. You've got your standard, like, survival horror. Am I going to live through this or not?
Yeah.
Cosmic or horror. I'm powerless in the face of all this. Weird horror. I'm scared and this doesn't make sense. Body horror, so like David Cronenberg films, and it's a sense of violation. And also the movies where and stories where people are basically made into meat, for consumption, like slasher film, stuff like that. Gothic horror. The question there is, what has my family done to me? And what have I done to my family? It's that that hurtful personal relationship horror.
Gothic
then you
horror,
got the existential horror, which is that we're all doomed or damned. Existential dread, I think, is something that goes around. But there's another genre that the White Wolf games, or at least Vampire, focuses on a lot, is personal horror, and the root problem of that is, what have I done? And I think a good illustration of why that one's my favorite, and the one that I've worked with, that I'm most proud of having worked with, in my short story Battle, about a crackhead ex-Marine in Memphis. It appeared in a very edited version of it, appeared in the published Memphis Noir from Akashic Books. But the full version I'm going to do a reading of and put it out there so people can see what my intent was, because they cut some of the best parts, or the best parts. But personal horror, in the White Wolf game, there's all kinds of realms of existence. There's the world that the material world people move around in. Then there's one step removed. So it's like in Wraith, it's called, I think, the Skin Lands, where the ghosts can see people, and occasionally people can see them, and it's a bleaker reflection of the real world. And the further out you get, the worse and worse things become, until you start winding up at the types of hell, and the labyrinth. And at the very bottom of all that awfulness is this well that, if anything goes in it, it never comes back out. Well, White Wolf, they knew how to write setting and rules like nobody's business. Their modules are terrible, but the psychology and the research that went into their game writing themselves was perfect. And if you get to that well, you're ultimately faced with a choice. Do I end myself or not? And that's what's at the base of personal horror. Am I going to unalive myself because of what I've done?
Or unexist myself, yeah.
I don't know how much more dread you can have than that. Because the big, like, Cthulhu monsters coming out and eating people. Yeah, it's terrible. I don't want that to happen to me. But that's at least like a natural order of things. A predator got its prey. Whereas if I eliminate myself, I got no one to blame but me. That's awful. So, yeah,
that's great.
I'm gonna jump in real quick, and I'm gonna add a couple to that list. A couple of the genres.
Yeah. What you got?
One, because especially with like the folk and supernatural horror, this is especially game systems like Vaesen, that did it so beautifully. God, that artwork is absolutely stunning. If you have not seen the book, I highly recommend. Go to a con, go to your local game store and check this book out. It's gorgeous. But it's having those, whether it's a monster of the week, whether it's the Hansel and Gretel, where the witch it's more than a witch. It's, there's a little bit more to her than just being a witch. There's usually the moral or the moral of the stories that have been woven through these tales that have been told for hundreds of years. They can be highly horrific, and while they touch on some of the others, they have their own style and vibe and environment and kind of feel to them. And then I'm going to throw this out: cozy horror. And with the recent rise, especially over the last year or so, things like Brindlewood Bay, where it's kind of cozy horror. Yeah, it's like Murder, She Wrote kind of meets Lovecraft kind of thing. But it provides kind of this cozy, cottagey kind of, but you can still add those horror elements into it and kind of tie that in. Those are kind of some of the oldest versions of horror with that folk, and some of the newest versions of that horror with the cozy parts.
Yeah, that's super awesome.
And they've done very popular.
Let me jump in here a little bit on the comments.
No. Let me get this hot thought, because she inspired me on this. So the folk thing.
Oh, please.
That sounds a lot like taboo transgression, like societal horror, like you're violating norms of society.
Yes.
And that's that's a legit genre, but you
Yeah.
inspired those
Or
thoughts on me.
or it provides
Yeah.
they provide explanations on why the world the way it is. So
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you could even take that and of course sleeve it with religion, and now you're talking, I mean, there's horror in the religious texts. So you could even take that. Us good Catholics have an idea of what the horrors
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the
it's super,
Dante, the
super
infernos
good.
and the layers of hell and everything else from viewpoints. But with folk, there's usually there's a moral to it. You're breaking the morals and traditions of the society. It enforces norms, whether that is what the right and wrong, the morals of that society, whether it's the gender norms, whether it's the work norms, not being lazy, not making sure that you're productive and part of society in the proper way, and all of the class norms and everything else. So
Yeah.
I like it.
that's an interesting one to explore, and then the consequences of breaking those. And that's really where, the evil thing comes out, or this is why we have evil in the world. Go back to Pandora's box, Pandora being a woman who opened the box, even though she was told not to. She broke the societal rules and she let forth all of these horrors into the world. And then Hope had to, emerged at the end and came out just to keep us going, or else we would have just totally done ourselves in probably as a species. So that's folk is probably one of the oldest and still very, very, and games like Vase and others that have started to bring that forward. Gods of Appalachia, the old Gods of Appalachia series, which has gotten very, very popular. That's another really good example of a system that has that.
Yeah, thanks so much, Heather. Yeah, that's pretty cool. You're talking, Grim Tales and all that kind of stuff, and folklore. Yeah, that's really cool. I want to go to some of the comments. There's some great stuff that we're missing here. By the way, Joe, thanks for jumping on. Good to see you. That's Greyhawk Grognard. He made a really good point to kind of double click on this too. I want to read this comment because it's pretty good. He says that there's also another genre unique to RPGs. It's called character horror, where the player is compelled to do horrible things to his character in order to proceed or succeed in the adventure. I should have put that up. Sorry. And I like that because I'm a Greyhawk person, and he kind of goes into the quintessential example of, the Forgotten Temple of Therazin, where the character literally turns into a follower of him. So, that could be quite, horrible for the character.
Yeah, in the drive to destroy this abominable temple.
Yeah, and then you become it.
Yes.
And then you become it. What you totally were out to destroy, and now you are it. Yep. And I think there's so many examples of that, but that's one in D&D that we always talk about, because that module has got such a big twist on the end. And we should talk about that, because I think twists are what I like to double click on. And I think is a theme for me when I try to do a horror type genre game, if that's what we want to call it, is if there's a twist where, whoa, we weren't really even going after this person. It was actually this, or something like that. But, and Blur says, oh my God, how very emo. I love it. All right. Liliqua, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Says the Call of Cthulhu solo adventure Alone Against the Flames is the essence of folk horror. Yeah.
I actually did that live on my Twitch stream.
That's awesome.
New Year's last year, I did Alone Against the Flames, and it very much falls into that the more you try to escape and try to get through it, it's nice. It's a good scenario.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyone ever play I don't know what this is, Liminal Horror?
Horror.
I have heard of Headspace.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that.
I've heard of it. I have not played it. I would describe it more like a modern kind of cosmic horror type game, but it's focused on how the characters are changed through their encounters. I've heard a little. I've wanted to play it. I've heard good stuff about it.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah. Also, Loiqua says Old School Paranormal RPG, originally published by West End Games. Yeah, that I don't know if you guys have played that. That's a really great game too. Essentially, satirical horror comedy run in space. I don't know if any of you guys have messed with that. That's a great system.
I knew it was Lil CY. I knew it.
Lil CY is that what it is?
CY.
Freezer also said, I heard Dark Souls TTRPG was great character horror. One character curse was if you say her name, she is deleted from history and memory. After she died, they uttered her name to cure their depression.
That's pretty horrible. Yeah.
So here's another question here. Sorry, guys, that we got. I feel like I'm ignoring some of the.
That's good.
Oh God, Dreg, he's asking about the Elder Gods. Should I bring this one up?
Yeah,
I think so.
We don't need to invoke the Elder Gods. No, we don't. We don't need to spark the uprising.
Yes. He says, why do the Elder Gods, etc., the name of entities, Cthulhu mythos, take such a center stage in the lore? Well, I mean,
because Lovecraft's original works are public domain, and the legalese surrounding anything else outside of Lovecraft that anybody else has done is mired in ridiculous amounts of red tape and is basically untouchable. Having worked through the written for the Miskatonic Repository, which is the community content arm of Call of Cthulhu through Chaosium. And Chaosium is awesome, absolutely awesome in terms of supporting all of their community content circles. They are absolutely phenomenal. They will answer any question, especially with the legalese, because it gets insanely crazy. I mean, just crazy in terms of how much legalese is there. If you want an example, just go to the base Call of Cthulhu book, the player's handbook, the investigator's handbook, and look to see all the used with permissions. There's pages of this. What Chaosium has had to do over the decades since they first put out Call of Cthulhu to get permission from the various entities legally to utilize some of this stuff is crazy. So that's why you see a lot of Cthulhu, Dagon, which is one of my favorite areas, Dagon and the changed ones and everything in Arkham and Innsmouth and all that. That's one of my favorite areas to write for in that genre. But you see a lot of that because a lot of that is public domain and it's easy to use. So especially if you see a lot of community content work based on that, that's why, because that's what's available to us. It's not because we don't want to use like the King in Yellow and several of these others, other different versions. They're just, we can't legally write in those without a lot of permissions, which are rarely given or they're incredibly expensive to get.
Okay.
Well, but besides that, all that's 100% true is also that he was the big dog. All horror that's come after him
that's the explanation
is shaped by him. And so
but
that other thing is for real. That what she just talked about, 100%.
So Advanced Games, Fantasy Game says horror to me is a setting of something so normal that you're drawn to it, and then it shocks the senses, like two girls in a hallway, and then an elevator in the background opens. Roll for a horror, Jack. I
understood that reference.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It's taking the normal and then doing something.
Doing something
a vulnerable moment or something that causes that vulnerability, and then doing something terrible or something that you just like, oh my God, how could they do that? So
an important
pets, kids are especially
an important element in the game, though, and it's tacking onto the pets, kids thing you were just saying, is that you gotta play to your audience. If you're running, if you're wanting to introduce horror into your game, like we touched on at the very beginning, horror is very subjective. And some people are sensitive to it. Some people love it. Some people, I can sacrifice babies and horrid Bali infernal rituals. And they're like, yeah, let's do this because I have done that in the game. I mean, not live action, don't get me wrong. But then some folks don't want any of that to do with. And I've had more experience with like 5e players. They can't handle losing, let alone their character being driven mad or betrayed or anything like that. Whereas
say what you feel.
Whereas, 2e and earlier players, they're used to getting slapped around. They're used to some awful things happening to them. But there's how much of that do they want to happen to them? And when you figure out how much is the right balance for your people, you also have to ask, how do I make them care about it? Because the number of players that you can do all the screwed up stuff to NPCs you want, water off a duck's back. Do not give a crap. Now, some players will care because they know they're supposed to get into a role and then they see it from their perspective, or they empathize with the person that the NPC it's happening to, and then they feel it. But no, you got to figure out how to do it to the players. You have to get them involved in it. And one way I like to do it is have them work it to where they're culpable in the situation. That whether knowingly or unknowingly, they brought this about, whatever the horrible thing is. So don't assume that murdering a bunch of kittens in front of your player characters is going to phase them at all. No. And attack their characters in ways they're not ready for. Like, don't just go after their hit points. Well, this is why, like, the level drain of the earlier editions was it's still
or stat drain, either one.
I prefer to do the stat drain because it's still terrifying.
Not me. Level drain, baby.
But level drain, that you will give that vampire a wide
make more experience points. You can't get stronger again unless you find the right items. I mean,
That puts fear in players, though.
I'll tell you one other thing. I'll tell you this: the easiest way to inculcate horror into any scenario, and I don't care what game you're playing, whether it's futuristic, modern, or fantastic like D&D, is to introduce an anachronism. So, for instance, your party has come upon a strange altar, the top of which is decorated with a rune that is extremely well executed, possibly dwarven, but no one recognizes it. Well, I read dwarven. Well, it's not dwarven. And you let them go on for 5 minutes asking questions about it. Look, I've got a picture. I'll let you just see it. And when you throw it out there, it's a nuclear cautionary symbol. It's a radiation symbol. And they all go, oh, crap. Okay. Because they know what it is, but it's meta to admit that they know what it is, so they won't. But you throw that anachronism out there, and it opens the door wide for horror. Now, if you're doing it from a future game, right, that's where you go into the ancient building with skeletons of aliens everywhere, and there on a counter sits the crystal skull. And it seems to glow as though with an inner light. This could be worth quite a few, credits back at base. Do you take it? And then you have just, again, the strange things that go on that you sort of hear but don't hear, and sort of smell but don't smell, and sort of see but don't see. And is it the crystal skull? It probably isn't. Doesn't matter. That gives you that open door to horror because it's anachronistic.
And
very good.
Just choice of game.
No, I'm kidding.
Is important for knowing who it is that what's the right level for your audience. Because Heather writes for Call of Cthulhu. You could do anything to those people.
Oh, they'll welcome it. It's true.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that. I having run quite a bit of Cthulhu, the various Cthulhu styles. The one thing that I have discovered being in those circles the last handful of years is that they take player safety and consent very, very seriously, trigger warnings and whatnot, because when you delve into those different types of horror, especially the more psychological, trauma-based horrors, it's better to kind of have an idea of what really people just can't stand. Because if you're not providing the, as a keeper or game master, if you're not providing the best possible game experience, if people aren't having fun they're not going to want to play again. They're not going to want to play with you. They're not going to play with the group. They're not going to want to play the system. They're just not going to deal with it. So
Okay.
a
So
lot
Call
of
might be more for
Cthulhu people,
imposed
we
horror.
can deal with a lot. We can deal with a lot of
sounds to me like they shouldn't be
screwed up
playing Cthulhu.
stuff.
At least my Cthulhu.
We could deal with a lot of screwed up stuff because but we also we usually have a lot of sessions. There's usually a session 0. We may use safety tools. Some people, use X cards. They use the deck of player safety. They use a lot of these things. We may, what are things that really just don't work for you? What are things that are just off limits, lines and veils and things like that?
Yeah.
Honestly, I like having that because then I can focus on the stuff that they are okay with, and I can mess that 10 ways from Sunday. And
Heather, that
really
sounds horrible to me. So just want you to know. That sounds
this is
horrible
making
to
some
me.
sense, because if you go to Call Cthulhu, you're expecting Cthulhu, you're expecting Lovecraft, and that's horror coming at you from the outside. Even if you go insane, that's in response to an external stimulus.
Going insane is just the next best chapter. That's half the fun.
Whereas Vampire is a game of personal horror, and so that's okay. So all right, we got some differentiation. And again, that goes to the point of what game are y'all playing, and that probably tells you what you should be focusing on. Right. As far as what kind of horror you're going to do. Now, the best that I think that Dungeons and Dragons did for this would be, I think, 2nd and 3rd edition Ravenloft stuff got really good at it. And particularly the, I guess, kind of 2.5-ish or a later 2E edition Domains of Dread hardback. I think that if you only need one, or if you can only have one book to help get you an idea how to do horror and Dungeons and Dragons, that book right there. It's awesome at it.
There's his shelf,
Well, and they talk about horror and terror and the differences between them. And here I'm going to praise some 5E because Curse of Strahd, I think, did do horror pretty darn well, and not just the parts they recycled from the original module. One scene sticks out to me of there's this drunk on a lake, and he's in a rowboat, and if the player characters make to the edge of the lake, they see him pick up. It's an 11-year-old module. Don't come at me with spoiler warnings. He just picks up the sack and tosses it in like it's nothing. And if you don't investigate, it's nothing. What it is, he's crawled so far into the bottle that he thought that if he sacrifices a little girl he kidnapped from the village, and her parents are terrified looking for her, trying to find her. If he sacrifices her to the spirit of the lake, then he might get a few more coppers so he can buy another beer.
Oh, gee.
That's horrible.
Horrible, yes.
That is horrifying.
Wow.
And especially if you're looking at it through the eyes of the NPCs and just the casual evil of that. He was only thinking about another drink and sacrificing this innocent girl. That's just one of the things that made me read this and go, damn! Oh, I feel terrible reading that. So
I need to shower.
It's got some chops to it. Yeah.
So that's man, that's all great stuff, you guys.
It's up here somewhere.
Let me go real quick to the comments. Sorry. Let me I don't want to ignore some I'll ignore you, but not the comments. Just joking, Chris. Little C Washington, now we understand. He says that he's a moderator over at the Index Card RPG community server in Discord. I'm one of the principal organizers of the 100% online virtual con. Just want to give him a shout out because he threw it in there. So very cool. Joe did mention when we were talking about the Cthulhu licenses and stuff, he says, I made a very special effort to use only the original Lovecraft stories in his Swords of Cthulhu book, which is actually pretty cool. You guys should check it out. Even included an annotated book list.
Yep.
And there was another comment here I wanted to highlight really quick.
I love seeing where other creators get inspired. Like what's their source material, because then I can go back and check out the source material too. And I love when they do that.
Super awesome. And Freezer says main thing many monsters in Cthulhu is that they don't realize they are hurting people and they don't care either.
Yeah.
They find people as ants, which is dehumanizing experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Your dignity as a person is taken away from you by this thing that doesn't care. Yeah.
Doesn't care. Yeah. And that's horrible. Yeah. Heather, when you were kind of talking about the running games at cons, I've ran a couple horror themed games at cons, and they were successful. They were really good. I find it easier for a campaign to introduce horror than I do one shots at a con. And the reason that I would double click on that, and obviously this is my opinion, is because of character investment. It's easier for me to get them, scare the living bejeebies out of them if they're invested. And when I go to a con, I am balls out as a player. I don't give a flying petunia. You know what I mean? So it's kind of tough, but if you're able to achieve that, and you obviously have some successful games, I think that's pretty awesome. I think that's really awesome.
I think the difference comes in on what type of horror, maybe the types of horror that you're looking to present. That's because if you're in a campaign, first of all, you get to know each other as players. Yep. More than likely, you've known each other and played other games with each other, and this is just the next campaign that somebody's running. So you already have a feel for the people you're playing with. Maybe what they are interested in, what matters to them, what they don't care about, what they don't want to deal with.
Who you're dealing with.
And you can slow burn over the course of a campaign. You can slow burn it. Slowly twist the ties. You can slowly turn the heat up to a point where by the time they find that the water is boiling, they're already pretty much cooked.
It's already over.
And then it's like, what do you do? What's your last act? And that is wonderful. I think, especially for a keeper, a GM, to be able, and that's true for any campaign. When you can kind of slowly ramp things up and kind of slip things in under the wire here and there till all those threads get pulled together around them and they're trapped in it and they have to kind of figure out their way out. I love being able to do that with campaigns. It's phenomenal. You can't really, it's much, much, much harder to do anything like that in a 3 to 4 hour window, which is why I always start all of my games with, we only have a few short hours together. Utilize your character sheet. Don't hold anything back.
Yeah.
If it's Cthulhu, use your luck, use your magic points, use whatever you're going to do. If it's D&D, if there is if there's stuff on your character sheet that you look at and you're like, I'm not sure, just use it. Find a way to do it.
Yeah.
But when you're using horror, whether it's Cthulhu or something else, when you're running a horror game in a short amount of time, you really kind of have to pick what I like to think of as obvious horror, like things that are obviously terrible are going to just make people's skin crawl or make them go, that gasp. So there's a decent amount of body horror that's thrown in there. There's situations where it's just, there's no good choice no matter what they do. It's just which evil do you choose? You might throw in a little player versus player conflict, as long as you believe it can be manageable. And hopefully won't get out of hand. Something that can be resolved fairly quickly in the amount of time, but it also brings that tension into the group. If you utilize things like that and you kind of go, and then and I saw a comment on here, and it's up a little bit, but when you sign up for a horror game at a convention, you buy into it. Like, you're only gonna have a few short hours. You're buying into that horror. So if anybody who signs up for any kind of horror game, and you expect something like Cozy Cottage, you're going to be very disappointed.
Yeah,
obviously.
That doesn't fly.
So most people who sign up are already well aware that they're buying in, even if they've never played the system before. They're buying into something along these lines.
Hopefully.
Let
me pause here. I'm going to pause here really quick, guys. I do want to give and this is going to be on you, Heather, or I don't know, Stephen. You could do it too. Chris, you can't, because this is a point in time where we do a giveaway for Chris's. It'd be $25 in credit in drive-through for Chris's Inner City. Designs drive-through shop, right?
Well, I tell them, pick anything you want off the website. Don't worry about what it costs. As long as it's not a hardcover or a collector, I don't care, and I will get it shipped to you absolutely free.
There you go. So what I want to do,
look at that.
What I want to do is, Heather, I would like for you to ask a Cthulhu-related question to the audience, and the first one to get it right will win this.
You would be the expert.
Oh God!
I saw your published works list. You got no excuse.
Cthulhu-related question.
Or
a
Cthulhu-related question.
Oh.
Yeah, that's not much of a choice, but you know.
By the way, this is
a Cthulhu-related question or a Cthulhu-related question. Okay.
You guys get ready. The first one we'll get the $25 credit in drive-through.
Okay. There is a very popular character that appears in Lovecraft's work.
I know it already.
Yeah, you can't win.
There are two that are very well known, but one was played by the just indomitable actor Jeffrey Combs. What character was that?
It's a good question.
Okay.
You know, it's challenging, but it's not like you have to look in this one paragraph on this one page in this one book that there's 5 copies of. No, I think that's a great question.
And you're talking about his name in the books, right?
What character did the wonderful actor Jeffrey Combs play in a Lovecraft-based work?
Yeah.
That this character is found in Lovecraft's work.
And the alternate question that
does anybody know that?
Because I'm not allowed, is when you play Call of Cthulhu, is the line ever busy?
Is the line ever busy?
Never
mind.
Hey, I waited till an hour and 41 minutes in before I did a dad joke.
Pretty good, yeah. So, Angela, when are you going to give the sound effect?
Yes.
I would give that to Dreg because he did say Dr. West. So
yeah, but Herbert's his full name.
Herbert West. That's right. In what was the story for a follow-up? What was the most famous?
I think Little CWA is probably our winner. I'm sorry, CWA, not CWA.
Little CWA.
Well, I mean, his name was, Herbert West was the name of the character. Dr. West does count, though. I mean, if you want to really get technical with it. But
Dr. West was also on the Jupiter 2 in Lost in Space.
All right, so we're going to give it to
Reanimator. Very good.
Reanimator, yeah. And that was a movie in the
Reanimator.
80s. Yeah, that was a movie in the 80s. It was a freaky movie.
Good movie. It was.
But before we leave today, send a private message or something to, or you want me to just have them send it to my email?
Yeah. Send it to your. I think
okay,
it's.
Let's see why. Send it to. And how do I put that up here? You know my email. Right?
Put it in the private chat, and I'll copy and paste it.
What a good guy you are.
Yeah. So are we giving it to Dreg or are we giving it to Little C?
I think you should give it to Little Seawall, but I don't want Dreg to find out where I live and then hunt me down like a dog in the street.
Yeah, Dreg, I think you should. Yeah. Okay.
Little Seawall also got the movie, so.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave that to you guys. I just asked the question.
All right, Dreg is being the gentleman about it, so we got to send him something nice too. But I don't know what yet. Something. I don't know.
Okay. Well, why don't you give away 2? How's that? Because you didn't give away one Monday.
If you would like, I will give away 2.
Okay, so both you and Dreg and Little CWA email Chris at that, and he'll give you guys credit on drive-through. That's awesome.
Do that.
Yeah, that was a great question, Heather.
Just look
too.
Through
by
all
the
the
way.
stuff on drive-through, find out what you want, send it to me, and I will make sure it comes to you absolutely free.
Yep. Yeah.
But don't tell me you want the collector's hardcover, because no, that's not going to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
What if they ask for the first thing that you pull off of your shelf of holding, Chris?
Yeah, there you go.
You have to close your eyes first, though.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is out of print. I mean, there's like antiques and stuff up here. You know?
Yeah, all the stuff above Chris is all actually mine. So, yeah, that's mine. That's my copy. Hey, that actually a really one of these weeks we're going to discuss that book.
Here's one you haven't seen. There you go.
Yeah, that's mine. That's
mine.
Wow.
Yeah. That's version 3 of version 2 of Inner City. We're playing version 3 these days.
So I want to talk about Cthulhu a little bit. I think we've dove into kind of the psychology and what is and what ifs and all of horror. I think we've defined it pretty well. We've talked about themes. We talked about how to bring it into your game. I want to talk about what our favorite systems. I will say for horror, and I'm going to start us out, because I'm going to start us out. I will say Call of Cthulhu, which is probably my second favorite game system, BRP and that whole, it is. I just think there are certain games out there that fit the not the genre, the word I wanted, but the Lovecraftian world. I think Call of Cthulhu really fits really well. Just like I feel like MERP, and I've said this before, fits Lord of the Rings really, really well, even though it's super crunchy. Dungeons and Dragons, I think, is very good for fantasy. I know there's other ones out there, but I play. I'm not a big fan of the newer version of Call of Cthulhu because they added the luck mechanic in it. I think there shouldn't be luck in that world. Just me going on a rant, guys. I'll take all the hate mail. That's fine. And the version that I kind of play or kind of stick with this is kind of the older one that came out. I think this came out in '88 or something, but and even the ones below that. So I think it's 4 and 3 and then 5, version 5 and 6. But what do you guys think about? I guess I got 2 questions because I told you guys my favorite there. What do you guys think about a luck mechanic in Cthulhu?
I have found it to be a means of letting me tighten a rope around my own neck, which does help drive the tension. Because if you're in a scenario and you're just hard screwed the whole way, it's easy to give up. But if you've got a glimmer of hope that you might pull it out, then you struggle harder. And when things start going against you and you run out of that extra juice, then you're doubly screwed. But that is a good question. That is a good point you bring up. That's been my experience in using it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see your point there because, but I think most players going into Call of Cthulhu, let's just talk about one shots. They know that at the end is going to just be a horrible experience. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's just my take on COC. But yeah, I don't know. I just think now we're getting into some other stuff, but I think it's just kind of it's not needed in that kind of setting. But yeah, that's a great take on it, though. That's a great take, and that's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear other people's takes on that. But yeah, anyways, I'm sure Heather has an opinion on this.
Yeah, no doubt.
You brought me on for a reason here.
Right.
Well, I mean, because you probably play the newest version of Call of Cthulhu, right?
I do. Yeah, I run 70, and no, but I'm going to agree with Stephen. Luck. Okay, so one thing about me is that I love the pulp genre. So some of my favorite, some of my favorite games my favorite game systems generally have, some type of luck or fate points that allow for those extra big. Oh, bring it. Yes. Show it. There we go. There we go. Yes. Rocket Age and Amazing Adventures, which was actually the game that from Troller Games that actually got me into the a game master's chair for the first time after running live action games for 20 years. I was always way too intimidated, so I used it.
Too?
But but one of the things I found is that having that mechanic involved in the game, it like Stephen was saying, it gives a sense of hope. It gives them a little something to work with. And I think it allows players to, especially the ones that maybe aren't, they're not the big personalities. They're not the ones that are always coming forth, at the table. Yeah, they're kind of from, the players that tend to be a little bit more quiet, feel a little bit more comfortable because they feel like they have something to work with. So it gives them the freedom and the chance to do these kind of bigger, bolder moves. And that's really what you want. You want to bring that out. You want that in kind of engagement at a table, especially at a convention when you only have a few short hours. Get people out and doing their thing. And then when those start to go down and they're ticking and they're ticking and they're ticking away and they're going away and they're going away and going away, and people are like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do if I don't have these? And it's that sense of, it's a horror characteristic in its own right. What do you do when you pull those crutches, you pull those bits of familiarity, those safety measures away, and things are just getting worse and worse and worse. And as the danger is building and building and building, do I just go out in a blaze of glory and do something massive and just spend everything at once?
Yeah.
Or do I try to eke it out a little at a time to try to save myself, even though there's a very good chance I'm not going to walk away from this, not necessarily dead, just not in my own mind.
Second death save then.
Yeah. And again, I think that's also why I go back to the classics, when it comes to 5e and 5.5 right now that I'm playing in, I still have a hard time because there's so much that you can do. And it's like, why can I do 5 different things in a single turn?
Mm-hmm.
I should just be able to roll. Either I'm casting a spell, I'm making an attack, or I'm running the fuck away. I'm running the hell away. And it's, that's it. That's all it is. It's really simple.
So that's how I see luck in Call of Cthulhu 7.
But when you're talking about with because it's not just I have this many hit points and then I'm going to be dead. It's losing hit points because you have so few of them in Call of Cthulhu, where, a 3rd or 4th level character in Dungeons and Dragons could have, 40, 30, 40, 50 some odd hit points. You only have between maybe 8 to 12 hit points total. If you are taking physical damage in Call of Cthulhu, something is seriously messed up. Something is seriously going wrong for your character, for your group. When you start taking physical damage, luck is, as a mechanic, allows players to not just roll like basic skill, because it's a very skill-based system. You're not just running, you're not just rolling a percentage, but it gives you that little extra something so you can tweak the rolls or whatever to make them your own.
It makes somebody better. It makes somebody better in the library skill versus that is not good at it.
It helps, but you only have so many. And even if
I get you. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, even if you have 60 luck points, if you are, there's a really, this thing, whatever you're facing is going to do some seriously messed up stuff. Yeah. And you really need to make this roll and you need to drop 25, 30 of your luck. That's a decision. That's a moment. And it happens a lot more often. So instead of rolling and nickel and diming them on the hit points, you're basically nickel and diming them on the luck points.
Right.
So they're still getting the same type of, they're still getting a roll. It's just
for a longer
going
game,
towards
too,
a
yeah.
different stat than what we're used to, but it's very similar in a lot of ways. And I think it gives a little bit more flexibility, freedom, player agency, and player uniqueness. They can really kind of make that character their own.
Yeah.
And for that reason, for all those reasons, and I'll just term it a different way of giving players a sense of control. In every game that I run, no matter what the system is, I give every player once a session. You can do a mulligan. If you make a roll and it goes terribly, you can roll again and see if you get a critical, or if you still fail, you get a bare minimum of success. And when sometimes people just have bad dice days, and when the dice are against you, nothing's working, folks can check out. But if you give them the ability to have a little bit of control to get that second chance, you can still do horrible things to them after they succeed at that. But they feel like, I deserve this now. Like they are backed further against the wall, upping the dramatic tension. And then you also get the mind game they're playing. Is this when I need to use that, or do I need to hold on to it for later? And if I don't do it now, then I'm screwed, and it won't matter what I'm doing later. Oh, and they have this little drama in their head.
The strategy, watching players find their own strategy on how to do the luck spends is fascinating from a keeper perspective, because everybody kind of goes a slightly different way and on how they're going to do it. And also as a keeper, you can adjust what you're doing, what you're throwing at them based on how they are playing those, they're utilizing those luck rolls. So
I think what bothers Angelo though, and I'm gonna support you here, Angelo, because everybody else sending hate mail right now. And you're gonna know who this is before I do. I think it was Milton who said that hell is not a place where everything is taken from you. It's a place where they give you things so that they can take them back. Once you actually like them, then they'll take them away. So now the thing is, that's fear though of that's what I would term fear of the damned, or of being, eternally damned. And that's not Cthulhu. Cthulhu is fear of being forever inconsequential. If you really think you matter so little that you really, why'd you show up today? Yeah, okay.
Well, that's the big fear in Cthulhu.
But see, the two don't actually mesh 100%. Yeah. Although I can see the tactical aspect of it from your point, Heather, but it makes it more of a tactical game and less of a mind screw. I'm not going to use that other word because
well, Heather's talking about with the luck and what I said with the mulligan. This is still a game,
right?
There are still, things left to hazard, and what luck and the mulligan plays into is for horror to work and to not be one note where it's no longer horror. It's
if you're just
what it
screwed,
is. It's a pressure and release, pressure and release. And so if you get the pressure and you've got one out, and you've pretty much only got one out, then the pressure can get more intense because you have no other way out.
Right.
But if it's only this, then is what it is. Yeah.
Luck spends, the lower the luck goes, the more the hope fades.
The walls are closing in.
It brings that part.
But what if there was no luck there and there was just no hope, period?
Well, I mean, if you had, there are scenarios where it's basically very much a Kobayashi Maru. You're not getting out. I mean, they have a whole system based on 10 candles based on the fact that you're gonna die. It's everything that leads, through that period until that point happens. With Cthulhu, death is not always the worst thing that can happen. Sometimes death is the blessing that can occur for your character.
Yeah.
And that's also part of it. It's not, am I going to die? There's a point where it goes from, am I going to die, to, am I actually going to live through this? Because if I do, I am going to move forward completely screwed up.
Yeah.
And goodness knows what kind of shell of a human, flesh machine? Am I going to be that's going to be my existence? Am I going to be bound to this endless, thing, this
So
creature
he's saying
for
Lucifer is
all
a brain
eternity as
damnation.
some kind of slave with just enough consciousness to be continually traumatized over and over and over again for the rest of the universe's existence? I mean, if you think about it that way, those luck spends become very important, even in the small versions. And if you go the pulp route, if you do Pulp Cthulhu, you can take that luck and you can spend it in even more ways, because now you're bringing that high adventure element into it. So you got those big kind of Indiana Jones, over the top, Sky Captain, the World Tomorrow kind of, feel, where you can do those really even big moves, or have that moment where you shouldn't be getting up, but you do anyway, kind of thing. So it takes a whole new element. It brings this whole other element into the horror.
You just defined it. It's more of a pulpy game than it is, I think,
without the luck mechanic, you don't have very far to fall, because you're a normal person. Obviously, you were going to fail, but if you've got a little more oomph to you, you have further to fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's not funny when you get older. Okay, I'm just saying.
I know. Well, do you have your little alert bracelet on you? Do you have we told you about that? When you sprained yourself doing the Wisconsin workout last time. I'm not going to say what part of his body he sprained, but it was very masculine, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Now, if it was called something other than luck, do you think, Angelo, think that would make a difference in how you saw
I wonder if I have I think because I think that's where I have the biggest issue. And I'm sorry we've gone down this route, but to me, it's not, it doesn't become a horror game anymore when there's luck involved. I just, especially when in kind of a cosmic horror, you know what I mean? There's, everybody in any of Lovecraft's books did not have luck on their side.
True story.
Anybody from the famous, and I've read all the stories just like you guys have. We all have. Everybody on this channel probably has read. Randolph Carter, do you feel he was luck? He had any luck on it? No. Do you feel like the guy in The Outsider had any kind of luck? Do you feel like the guys in Call of Cthulhu had it? No.
Yes, they did. And they burned it to get to where they were going.
Okay.
To hang themselves. They tightened their own rope.
There's luck in that? I don't think so. I thought that was fate.
I don't know. I think if we were to take out the word luck and called it, humanity, like if I remember right, cyberpunk had humanity, and the lower, if you called it something else, like the soul essence or something, like this is a part of yourself. Every time you spend, you are giving away that part of yourself, and you are becoming less and less human.
Sanity to me.
Hey, Angelo, I got you covered.
I wonder if it's the term luck that is throwing.
Well, I mean, because I think it is the term luck, because luck to me just it doesn't equate to.
No. Heather just inspired me with some things she was saying. Take out the luck mechanic. Let people burn sanity.
Oh,
that's desperation.
Is sanity for a moment.
Actually, but
that's actually interesting.
You like that, Angelo?
Yeah, no, I think it was something I wanted to hear your guys' opinions on. That was something I wrote down. I want to hear what you guys think about this, and that's great. Yeah, and that's what I think is awesome about gaming in general. Like, everybody's got an opinion about how things are. We have these rulings, that's for old school. You know what I mean? We have these rulings. People tailor their table to how they want to play and how they've learned how to play. And it's so great. It's so great. I feel like,
Well, just from this conversation we've had, different folks express ideas in different ways, and there's been cross pollination. There's been better ways to explain something using someone else's words because you had the principle, they had the example, and they said something that inspired me to do this. And yeah.
Greg just put up a great comment about the hotel package. That is actually a whole nother of your famous categories of horror. Is the feeling that you are unique and that everything around you is controlled. You know, like you're the and I'm trying to, the Truman Show was a wonderful example of, you know.
Wow.
There's something a little bit horrifying about the Truman Show when you really think about it. But that's and that's simple paranoia. So with a little nod to West End here, but you know, that's one more to put on your list. Paranoid fear or paranoid horror, actually.
So I feel like we hit. I mean, it's obviously we all love Call of Cthulhu. So are there any other systems that you guys like to run that type of genre in, or you think that kind of hits? You know what I mean? I love to hear.
I do it in D&D all the time, and
me too.
The various sci-fi systems I use too.
Yeah.
I think Alien, the Alien RPG and Mothership both touch on that from space really, really well. I mean, just the inspiration, just watching Aliens too. Just all you get, if you watch it, and no matter how many times you see it, you're still kind of, you feel that tenseness in you as you're watching this. You know, and the game systems work really nicely with that. You know, especially when you're in space, there's so many things, everything pretty much wants to kill you. And now there's these other things that want to kill you too. In line with Call of Cthulhu, then we have Delta Green, which makes Call of Cthulhu look like Brindlewood Bay in a lot of ways. Delta Green, if Call of Cthulhu was a cut, it'd be like a nice, sharp, clean scalpel cut, while Delta Green is basically somebody took a rusty spoon and just jagged and just did that. It's that kind of different. It's very similar, but there's something very raw and exposed about the way Delta Green does it. Very in your face and
well, what's really cool about Delta Green is you have that organization, and you feel like you have a fighting chance against this, and you're very equipped intellectually moving forward, but you find out that we really don't have a chance against this. You know what I mean?
It brings in the geopolitical aspect of the more modern era into it. But in a terrible way, because now no matter what supernatural parts of it, there's a lot of the horrible parts of humanity doing the terrible thing.
Yeah. That's a great system. God, I wish.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then if you go, we still have, you know, vampire, you know, running years of vampire. Obviously that gives, it's classic, it's gothic. But then now bring in cult. Cult is really dark, really open. You know, there's so much. Oh my gosh. Cult really exposes that really kind of not just the darkness, but the nasty parts of almost grotesque parts of horror in that kind of gothic style. So that does well too.
What's that called?
KULT.
KULT.
I've never even heard of that.
Oh,
and,
it's like the Delta. It's like Delta Green is to Cthulhu. Cult is very much kind of the, I wouldn't say the vampire, but I
think that's a fair comparison.
Yeah.
Really?
Because vampire, you can do any awful thing you want to do, but cult, like, that's its default. And a friend of mine that is great game master, he wanted to play he wanted to run some cult, and I told him that no, I feel like I'm in the real world. I see it all around me. I don't want to. That's not going to be escapism for me. Now, the game that we haven't mentioned that is both maybe the best vehicle for horror and maybe worst vehicle for horror is Lamentations of the Flame Princess, because any type of horror you want, it's already in there. But the downside is every type of horror is in there.
Yeah.
And there's only one thing that I won't do in any games, and that they'll do that 5 times before you can finish this sentence. So I don't know that I want to praise James Raggy, but some of his stuff's really good. But some of his stuff makes me think someone needs to check his hard drive and send him away for a very, very long time, because I know what's going to be on there, and it's not going to be good.
No. You're going to need a shower after you see it. Yeah.
I need to go to church after I see it. Yeah. So yeah, that if you are adventurous with your horror, know that I'm warning you. But there is some good stuff in there. But if you want to have an idea of how bad it might get, the one Lamentations module I reviewed was probably the shortest one they did, Asterion. You can check it out on my channel, and it's the only video I've got where it's got a warning label on the thumbnail.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
worse than Vixen. Okay, gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
What about you, Chris?
What topic are we on now? What do I think of Lamentations?
Well, I mean, what systems that you said D&D, but I mean, is there any other ones that come to mind besides?
It's interesting because Jim actually wrote most of the stuff for Met Alpha as horror.
Yeah.
He wanted to always surprise people with they were expecting this and didn't get it type stuff. And so but I frankly was never really happy with the system for Metamorphosis Alpha. I loved all of the source material. I loved the charts for mutations and things, but there's no real character advancement in Metamorphosis Alpha, and that bothered me. So
Yeah.
But yes, we play that for sci-fi. Well, we used to play it for sci-fi horror. We of course use Lance these days, but
yeah.
Oh man, Dreg's been running Lamentations of the Flame Princess. Oh, I know what you're. All right, FBI, check Dreg's hard drive now.
I think the book.
Wow, guys. Well, man, I think we beat this subject up pretty well. This is good.
Heather's fault. Oh, sorry.
What are you looking up for? What do you got there? Heather.
Yes.
You're a master. You are a horror master. I love it.
Horror master.
Okay. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I love your perspective.
When it's one of your favorite genres, there's not, and it's when you work in a decent amount, there's not much you can do. So, and I'm going to throw out three more games just to offset the really deep dive that we just went into on that last one with the warning labels.
Warning label.
Because it is dark and you can bring some fun horror to it. It's a bit.
Say that again.
Morkborg. So Morkborg can be fun. You can bring the horror element in a lighter way, and that's really great. Vast Grim. My buddy Brian wrote Vast Grim, so it's a lot of post-apocalyptic. Kind of both of them are kind of post-apocalyptic. Horror. A little bit of all that heavy metal kind of art style and everything else. So you can definitely bring horror to that. And then I'm going to do a throwback on the zombie horror.
Ooh.
All flesh must be eaten. Just for fun. Come on. It's a fun lighter type of horror, but it's still part of there. So we're just going to go
on the tune version of horror.
We used to play Chill back in the day too. So.
It was fun. Come on.
Oh, Chill, yeah.
Chill wasn't terribly.
Not everybody wants to do deep dives into the worst of the worst and the darkest of the dark. Sometimes you just want your horror to come with a side of fries or something.
Speaking of which, and knowing your players, knowing your table, some folks, they don't want to deal with any real horror at all. And so then, just you can have just fun horror themed things.
Yeah, or
where you
there is
got the
such a thing as
costumes.
comedic horror. So you can have comedic horror.
Pop horror, stuff that's not really horror. It just
Are you
wears the
working on
outfit.
anything like
We've
that,
talked
Stephen?
so much about the darker side of horror, and yes, that's the main stretch, the main range. But there are the ones on either side, the ones that deep dive horribly dark. Oh God, GURPS horror, yeah.
Yeah, so Freezer just talked about GURPS horror, and I have a pile of stuff over here I pulled, and GURPS horror. There's a lot of really cool stuff in GURPS.
But
some people would just say GURPS is horror. GURPS is horrific. Oh wait, hold on.
I'm gonna do a show and tell right now.
I think riffs. I'm not sure. I think it depended who you talked to in the 90s.
Stuff right here. Here's something. I don't know if you can do a lot of fun stuff.
Dreamlands.
Dreamlands.
Yes. That's a lot of people. That's become very in demand. A lot of people are really loving the Dreamlands. And that's I've seen a lot more of that popping up over the last year.
Yeah. Even like kind of what brings me to that is like the Ravenloft Nightmare realms too is kind of cool. If you guys do I have that box set here? I don't know. Anyways. But this is obviously the classic right here.
Very classic, yep.
Things like that. I don't need to show you guys that. But we got,
vampire, great cleavage, fantastic 80s hair. It was an amazing.
I love it.
Oh yeah,
that one's pretty cool too.
I was gonna ask you guys too, like out of all the here's some of the Nightmare Land stuff. Out of all the published modules, what do you guys think are some of your favorite published horror genre modules out there? I will go and I will start this out. I think out of all of the Ravenloft ones, my favorite all-time module from that is a guy named Bill Salveskesk. I don't know. I can't pronounce. Yeah. Night of the Walking Dead. I think this module, and I've ran this so many times. I've run it so many times that I've actually made a huge poster of the French town that this all happens in. It's up on the wall. You can't see it.
Can I stun you?
I love the twist at the end that in the fear factor.
Met Bill Silvestri in Philadelphia.
What's that?
You met Bill Silvestri in Philadelphia. The guy that was helping Heidi and Eric in the booth next to us was Bill Silvestri.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll bring it because I'm actually. And spoiler alert. I'm gonna run this next page.
Angelo.
He'll sign it for you, I'm sure.
Yeah. I didn't even know that. Yeah, everything goes over my head. I just want a game. You know what I mean? But this module is probably my favorite, and I'll run this again. But I ran this at GaryCon, probably GaryCon 6 or something like that, and it was a 6-hour session that it was a blast. I had more fun than I think I had in a long time. No, I had a lot of fun today. But anyways, that's my favorite module, I think, because I love the Ravenloft stuff. I really do. I think there was so much depth in there, and the Gothic horror stuff is really
well. And you've met your hero. You just didn't realize
one of my favorites. So I like the Gothic horror. Anyways, but yeah, that was kind of a weird. I don't even know how you classify the horror of that one because it's a zombie king, and it's just kind of you're finding out. I guess it is Gothic because there was ties, there was family ties and all that stuff going on in that. So I guess
he's already on board with Castle Wolfmoon too. You'll get to see his contribution, and it is unusual. I was very pleased.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll have to go talk to him and drool all over him and say, "I love your module, Night of the Walking Dead."
Well, if you do it on your hands and knees, I don't think he'll mind because he wears all-weather boots, and yeah, it's all right.
Heather, by the way, is that where we met? Is that Paige?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's where we met in person. Yeah.
Okay, because I started
brings people together.
Yeah, and I'll be going. You're going back to Paige, obviously, right?
Yes, yeah. I will be returning in 2027. Ron already reached out to me and we talked. So yeah, I'm very excited to come back to Philly for it. So it's a lovely con. I've really been enjoying it the last 2 years. So, and I'm really happy to see the expansion of it this year. There were definitely some hiccups, but
it was a good con.
When I talked to the team, they said that when they wanted to expand, but they decided they wanted to expand big right away so that they could grow into it without having to try every year to kind of eke their way out. And honestly, from a business perspective, that's not a bad idea. So
yeah.
Well, and it's hard to get those 1-year contracts. So you know,
So you got to go big, and and they're working at it. They're working hard to really kind of bring the new team together and to meet the expansion. So I see great things coming up for this con going forward.
Yeah, Ron reached out to me today. I don't know if I'm able to say it or whatever, but he asked me to come as a special guest, and which I'm honored to do. So I will definitely be there.
I mean,
you have arrived, young man. Just get used to the fact.
Yeah, and when I went to Pages last year, it was my first time, and I didn't play in one game.
He played in 2, but not 1.
I played in none.
Oh,
I walked around
to a gaming convention and didn't game. Lame.
It's if you're working a convention, if you're working at one, I found it became really easy to not play.
Yeah.
So for a number of years, my husband and I had a small indie RPG company called Pick Up and Go Games. We published simplified D20 system and some card games and other things. And what I discovered a few years ago is I sat down and I realized I had been going to conventions to work them, and either I was running games or I was at the booth or I was doing other things. And I had not played a game at a convention in like 4 or 5 years. And I'm like, oh my God, what the heck am I doing? So I have made a conscious point to keep room and always sign up for at least one game that I really want to play in, and hopefully jump into 1 or 2 others with friends at every convention, so that I can leave the convention going, wasn't there to work. I actually played, and it has made life much better.
There you go. You got to break it up a little.
When you're working, when you're running all these games and doing all these things, I just want to sit back. I want to have some drinks. I just want to see people. I just want to, and then next thing you know, it's over and you haven't played a game. So
it's been 20 years since I got to play at a con, at least. Seriously.
Well, you ran like 50 games, and that's why.
That's still playing. The guy running the game is also a player.
Yeah. So
I like to think of it that way. I do.
Yeah, I don't think
not to suggest that Fraser and I are the same person, but he had to get, I got to get too. But it's been cool.
Yeah, we got to close down, guys.
Good stuff. Chris, good to see you
again. Before we close down, Heather, did you get to meet and know Greg Stafford?
I did not.
Oh,
I did not. And it is, I am very sad about that. But I have had a few conversations with the lovely Rick Meintz, who, of course, who heads Chaosium, and he and I have had a few conversations, and he's told me so many stories and so many great things about Greg. And I've talked to Jeff Richards also from Chaosium, who also gave me, especially with RuneQuest and talking about Greg. I desperately wish I could have met him, because just what sprung from Greg's mind and passion, and that came out, that is being that we continue that legacy. Anybody who plays and runs this work, especially with RuneQuest, it's one of those people that if I could choose to go back and have it at my dinner table, anybody alive or dead, Greg Stafford would be one of them, because I would love to pick his brain. Figuratively, of course, not literally. I've heard so much. Yeah.
All right, you guys, we're gonna close down here. We'll stay on after and talk a little bit, but I think I want to close out. We've been going for quite some time. I want to thank you very, very, very much, Heather, for coming on. You were super awesome.
Thank you for asking me.
I'm really glad that we connected. And man, if you ever, let's keep in touch. I'd love to have you back on. We'll get another subject going, and or we'll just talk gaming. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Chris. As always, you're the best. Thank you so much. And
while we're here, I want to reiterate and just say, told y'all.
I do want to give a couple shout outs and kind of tell you guys what's in store for the channel the next couple weeks. But first of all, I want to give a shout out to the Druskara Kickstarter that is going to be launching next, I think on the 10th. I'm a part of the marathon YouTube channel leading up on the launch party, I guess we're calling it. Matter of fact, Zane just texted me all the details. They asked me to be a part of that. So next Tuesday, I'll be having an hour slot, and we're going to have, we're going to all get trashed, I guess. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But anyways, that's the scan code for that. You guys scan that, and then I'll take you to their website for the Kickstarter that's happening. I also want to give a shout out to the fellows over at Tales for the Tape Deck. That is running right now, and I think it's doing pretty well. I think we're all supposed to get on together and do a live stream of a game too, which I'm looking forward to, because that'll be my first time playing it. So those guys, scan that and go to their site. They're super awesome.
I've been on that one, so I'm excited to get that.
It's gonna be. The concept is freaking crazy. I love it. I love it. Yeah, we had them on here maybe a month ago, I think, and it's such a good idea. So looking forward to that. 80s music and rock. Whatever. It's gonna be awesome. I also want to give a shout out to a little known project that will be coming out in April 5th, I believe, called a Castle Wolf Moon. Is that April 5th? Yeah. This is the scan code for that, and the gentleman right behind it is the one that is heading that. And he worked with
a few people whose names you might recognize.
A few people you might know, and one of the names would be
Luke was posting today about his contribution. So
and Ernie and Heidi and all kinds of people are adding to it. I'm hoping to do the same. If I ever get the guidelines to do it.
I have to finish the edits tonight.
Send them up, Chris. We want to know. We want to be part of this.
Yes, and I also want to give a shout out to EggCon, which is going to be coming up in July. I am also a special guest, and I have my events. We'll talk more about that. I have those out there. I'm actually running something that I wrote, which is going to be fun. And Heidi and Eric will be on the show in a couple weeks, so that's going to be fun to talk with them. I think it's the week after GaryCon. And a little preview on what we have. And we talked a little bit about the history of D&D. Well, I have Pat Kilbane coming on next Monday. I knew Pat before he started this journey of RPGhistory.net, which I want to dive really into it. But I used to game with him, not even knowing, we did a lot of it. He's a really cool guy. And he is a real gamer too. He's the type of gamer that in my games, he was taking notes, and he's such a super cool guy. But he's going to be on this next Monday, which is really cool. He's going to talk about, Dreams in Gary's Basement, and we're going to talk about RPGhistory.net. So that's going to be fun. And following weeks, I think we have Bill Barsh coming on, and a couple other people that I'm probably forgetting. I shouldn't say anything because I'm going to be speaking wrong. So anyways, I have to look at my calendar. Sorry, guys. But anyways, we got a bunch of new, cool people coming on in the next couple of weeks. And like I said, Heather, thank you so much for jumping on.
It was great that you would come out. Yes.
Thank you for inviting me. This was a blast. I would love to be able to come back. We can just talk whatever.
You should slot her in on a Monday night sometime too.
Isn't it Monday today? Oh, it's Thursday. That's right. Tomorrow's Friday.
It's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. Do not take our weekend away.
I know. Don't take
Don't
that
you dare.
away.
Don't you dare.
I need that time to work.
Yeah. And tomorrow you guys have a video coming out that is in my How to Be a Better Dungeon Master series, and this one is when to say yes, when to say no, and when to have them roll. So that'll be a fun one to check out. Anyways, so you guys take care.
Yeah.
Keep rolling those dice. Game on. And have a good one.
See you, Gary. Bye.